Hi everyone, and welcome to another FaceHammer Old World show. It's me, Russ the Facefield, and in this show I'm going to be talking about my first impressions of playing some games, finally. Talking about my draft Warhammer World Tournament list that I used in the two games, and they're both against Brets. And I have just my first impressions and how the games went. So it's going to be a army list overview. Then it's going to be two games. I'm going to talk through, got some photos, talk through the game itself, give you my impressions of the list and the game and all that kind of thing. Before I get into the show too much, I'll just sort of summarize my thoughts about Old World itself. I really enjoyed getting back into the swing of the game. I found the positioning a breath of fresh air when you can't just be wherever you want straight away, and like really understanding threat ranges and how you can maneuver is really important. And I found the first couple turns were kind of jockeying for position, trying to control space. And I was using things like magic missiles or my opponent was using shooting to try and force issues. Had some combats, had some oddball stuff turn up with skirmishes. And I just really enjoyed it overall. Massive breath of fresh air from playing Age of Sigmar for so long. Just loved that you just couldn't be exactly where you wanted to be. Deployment was super important. You know, things were very impactful. Yeah, it's great time. So I'm going to get into the show now, and I'm going to talk about my army list. And this list is one that I'm looking at taking to the Warhammer World 2-dayer, which is 1,500 points. It is chaos because I've rebased most of my old chaos. I've still got some bits to do. I've got some snow to put on the bases, movement trays, need painting, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm going to go through that now, and don't judge me too harshly. I know I've been given had some people give me a bit of grief about my unkillable dragon, and unfortunately the dragon is making an appearance here. Deal with it. This is my list that I've been playing around with. So it's a Chaos Lord with a flail, full plate armor, and a shield with the marker Nurgle, who's on a Chaos Dragon with the Crown of Everlasting Conquest and the Enchanting Aura. So basically that's the You Strike Last aura. 5-up regen, 5-up ward. He's only got a 3-up save or a 4-up save in combat. And I've given him a flail because I kind of like the I like the imagery of having a flail. I know it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but you know, it's quite nice because you can get charged and still have the strength bonus. But yeah, my converted lord has got a flail, so there you go, flail. Then I've got a Exalted Sorcerer on foot. He's level 2, and he's got the spell familiar, and he's in Demology and Mark of Zinch. He's primarily taking blue fire, and then whatever else I roll. I found out some cool little combos with the magic, using like Steed of Shadows, for example. That was really cool. So yeah, I quite like him. He's been pretty good at getting points or reducing threat on a flank, and that with the blue fire spell. The +3 to cast is pretty good as well. My first opponent, I played Carl, who's supporter of the show, friend of mine for a long time, and he didn't have any magic. And then I played Dean, again, a good friend of mine from back in the day, and it's been great to play that. And he did have a level 2 damsel, so it was quite interesting to see the interactions of unbinding or dispelling and not being in range and remains in play spells. So loads of cool little things in the game, loads of learning points that once you actually start playing the game, you start to see the nuance of these things. So I'm super grateful to be able to get 2 games in now that they finally got some models together to play. And it gives me the motivation to get my stuff out. So anyway, that's the Chaos Lord and the Chaos Sorcerer. I don't have a battle standard in this list. There is some debate whether the Chaos Lord could be a sorcerer and then this could be a battle standard. I'm not 100% sold on the sorcerer on the dragon, because I think you lose the weapon skill, you lose toughness, you lose some wounds, you know, you're not as effective in combat. Yes, you've got wizard, you're a wizard, but then if you're in combat, some of the spells you can't cast. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the idea of just having a feisty lord and having no BSB makes my dragon lord a little bit vulnerable, but that's fine. I deal with that. So 2 units of 5 marauder horsemen, flails and throwing axes and light armor undivided for my core. No frills, no spells. 12 chaos warriors with mark of Zinch, full command, war banner. They've got shields. So just basically as they are. I think Chaos Warriors feel very lackluster from what they used to feel like. And they used to have 2 attacks basic and things like that. So yeah, I mean, they're not as good, but I think they're fine. But I use them primarily as a little bunker, some static res that can be chucked into a combat if I need to, but they're not. I'm a bit worried about them getting charged because I think they'll go down pretty easy, and it's like they're quite a lot of points. So they're quite easy points. There's like soft points in my list. If that with the sorcerer in is, like 380 points, it's a lot, plus a banner. So it's like, it's quite a big chunk of my army that's easy to get. That's the thing I'm worried about losing the most. 2 Chaos Chariots. These are just fantastic. So good. They do so much damage on the charge. They're maneuverable because they've got a small frontage. And yeah, they're just great. In fact, they've got close order. They can disrupt. The warriors on the back again and got 1 attack each now, but it's fine. Really like these. Then 3 dragon ogres with great weapons and heavy armor. Again, these I think are really good value for their points. They're strength 7 with armor pierce, armor bane. They got a 3-up armor save. They stomp. That means psychology. So you don't have to worry about panicking and stuff. It means you can't flee, but hey ho, they cause fear. Only movement 7 and then don't have swift stride. They are monstrous cavalry, but you can't always get to where you need to be. So yeah, they're interesting. I would quite like a Shartok, but I haven't got the points for it. One thing I could do is drop the Spell Familiar from the Exalted Sorcerer, and that gives me 15 points. Well, 16 points technically. So what I could do with that, I don't know. I could basically give them a Shartok, and then that's 9 points left. I wouldn't mind putting on my warriors the maybe drop them to 11. And then give the champion the brass collar to give him magic resistance 2. I think magic resistance can be quite important. I am thinking about changing the mark on my lord as well to Zinch, just for theme, but then it was clutch in my second game when Dean rolled 3 6s to hit and had to re-roll them all, then missed. So yeah, probably not actually thinking about it, but yeah, it's I think magic resistance might be super important because you don't really want nasty spells going off on your big dragon basically. So anyway, that's the list that I played, and I played against some brets. So let me go through some photos and talk about the game, and I'll talk about my opponents and their army list. So let's go. This is Carl. As you can see, we set up to have a game. I've got here, this is after deployment. So Carl's using a unit of Peg Knights. He's got a BSB on a Peg. Big unit of archers here. Unit of man-at-arms here. Unit of man-at-arms here. A lance of Knights of the Realm. A lance of Grail Knight, and this is his Duke on Pegasus. He had the Razor Banner in here. I think he had the Killing Blow Virtue here. Not much else, I don't think, item-wise. Don't think there was much in here. We're playing 1500, so it's a bit tight. As you can see, my army here. Got my Marauder Cav. I've got another unit of Marauder Cav off camera down the bottom here. Chariot, Warriors, Dragon Ogres, Dragon. These are bases that haven't been painted, and my sorcerer is here in this unit. But yeah, basically that was the setup. We just played pitched battle, well, the standard, set 12 inches away from the middle. We're playing on an AOS size board, just because my new table is not quite 4 foot across. There's about 2 inches too short, and I couldn't be bothered to go get my mat from the loft, and we like a little bit of space for our coffee, you know, there you go, and our dice trays. And it worked fine. Didn't feel like the board was too small at all. What happened? So there we go. So obviously he went for, oh, there you go, they can see the proper setup there now. So there's the Marauder Cav that I've got there, the obligatory laser, and my dudes. So yeah, so I obviously Carl prays. So what I did is I set up this kind of cordon. Now, what was quite cool about my spell, I didn't need to do Demonic Vigor. So Demonic Vigor gives me +1 move, toughness, initiative, but it only lasts to the end of the turn. So it doesn't really make any difference because it's not a good thing if it doesn't last in your opponent's go. So it was like, well, whatever. Steed of Shadows was good though because it gave me a 12-inch fly move, which then allowed me, because you can't march and use a magic missile, so I wouldn't have been in range to magic missile off the 3 knights here that I did with Blue Fire. But because I was able to cast Steed, move, and then Blue Fire off half a lance, that was really good on my first turn. And I just made sure that my max threat, so obviously like 17 inches is the max threat because you've got the movement of 8 plus 6, so 14 plus 3 is 17. So as long as I'm outside of 17, there's no charges. I made this here because he's a skirmisher, so technically can charge me, even though his arc would be like this area, on a 6/6 charge. Well, the way it would work is he was within if he rolled a 9 or more on 2 dice, basically. So he could have taken that charge. I don't think it's likely that he kill and blows me. I think it's quite unlikely. It's a bit of a risk. If he'd put in, for example, these guys and the Lord and then challenge me out, there's some static res there as well, so it might force me to take a test. So that might have been a way for him to get my dragon, but I left this lance unit was unable to charge me the Grail Knights. And so I was kind of quite happy with this setup. We played this as impassable, this middle piece to the base. And then woods and impassable. My Marauder Cav here were sort of not really in a threatening position, but Carl decided that he was going to charge them. So in his go, he charged with the knights, and what that meant basically is that they would hit the back of the archers and not go anywhere. Pushed his men up, and you know, he went from there really. He did some shooting at the chariot, tried to chip a wound off, didn't get anywhere with that. My dragon ogres were quite out of position because they're quite slow. So in 8th, what you would do is you would measure from this corner to this corner, and then you would do your charge, and then that would be what you need to roll. But because in Old World you have to move and wheel and move, they were so far out of position. They should have really been here, and the chariot should have been here, which is what I changed up in the second game. They didn't really impact the game. I didn't need them, as it turns out. A bit of a spoiler. But yeah, so I did that. And then basically what happened is this is where we got a little bit of an oddball thing happen. So in my next go, you can see this is just a close-up of my battle line. So I put... This here was really weird. So I charged the chariot into the men-at-arms. I charged the chariot into the lance once it had demonic vigor on. And I charged the dragon into the bowmen, who fled through them, through the peg knights. Now, the way this works, and we had a bit to look at this. So I tried to redirect the charge, but I failed the test. But the way like flee works is that they move, you go center to center, you roll the distance, and my distance contacted the peg knights, which then counts as a redirected charge. There's no counter charge reaction because you can't react to this charge other than to, I think you can flee or hold, and obviously flee would take him off the table. Now, the weird thing is he's got full command. So when I touched this knight here, which is a normal one, then you rank the skirmishers up in base contact in the fighting rank. If you can't get in base contact, you go in the second rank. Now, because you can only get 3 models in base contact and the command have to go in the front, then the battle standard got pushed to the second rank and therefore wouldn't provide his bonuses. And because he isn't in a fighting rank, can't make way to fight. So it was kind of a bit bizarre, but essentially by having a musician, it kind of meant that his BSB didn't confer the Razor banner or his +1. Not that it would have made any difference, to be honest, once we worked out what happened. But it was a bit unusual circumstance. So it's a bit of a kind of an oddball situation. Now, the next oddball situation that came out was very weird. So into the Knights of Realm, this chariot blew through these 3 knights. It just killed them. I rolled a 6 on the impact hits. I rolled a 6 on the impact hits. They all died. Now, this unit here failed their panic test with no reroll because they were out of range, and also, but with the Duke's leadership. Now, because this is where the center is, they kind of fled. Let me draw on here. Can I draw? Oh, yeah, we go. So they kind of flee because it's the center point here. So they fled this way. Now, if you look, they ended up kind of not being able to fit here, not being able to fit here, not being able to fit here. Now, this is impassable. And actually, I had my Marauder Cav here, which are not in this shot, but they are here. They would end up, you have to wheel to avoid impassable terrain, the shortest distance. So we worked that out. Because they were majority on this side, it would be this way. So they would end up kind of at this point. Now, obviously, that meant that they moved through this chariot and the dragon and would take damage. So they lost some models, because before we thought, oh, they would bounce through the Marauder Cav and they could fall back in good order. So they'd automatically rally and he could reform, and then they were in the rear arc of my Marauder Cav. And I was like, that's a bit weird. But when we read the flee, it said that you keep going until you can clear. So yeah, it's a bit weird, but there you go. And whether or not we did it wrong, I don't know. Don't think we did. But you know, let me know if you think that was incorrect. But yeah, that was what we did. So so that was the kind of the oddball situation. You see this Marauder Cav unit here. So they ended up, let me move this. Yeah, so they would have ended up basically behind my picture, but over here. So ended up here, like, you know, so, you know, but that wasn't what isn't what happened. Cool. So yeah, anyway, that was it. So that was pretty decisive, because this is the situation. So we put them up here, you see. So we ended up with them here once they rallied. That's where we put them. Then basically you can see the dragon, because of the way it works, the pegs broke, fled off the table. The dragon overran into the fleeing archers and killed them, then could reform. So he was there. You can see the Grail Knights here are kind of exposed. I reformed this chariot, and then they held but lost quite a lot of models. And what I did there is I attacked the trip arc guy. So I just killed the guy with the artifact. So they can't be stubborn. So and then eventually we ended up with Carl put his peg lord into the warriors, I challenged out with the unit champion, then I challenged out with the sorcerer. He killed the sorcerer. I kind of, because of the war banner we were drawing, I was winning on musician. He didn't break, but basically I held him. And then we ended up with a chariot in the side, dragon in the rear of the grail. Because they're immune to psychology, they can't flee. I repositioned the dragon ogres to come into the side here. But then that was kind of where we ended up once I killed all the grail. This was kind of the situation towards the end of the game, and then it was just, you know, they actually broke from combat. He broke from combat that round and ended up around here, and then because he's fleeing, just charged him and killed him, and that was it, game basically. So I fled my chariot here originally as a charge reaction against the grail, I think, and then that meant they were short, and then yeah, but anyway, something like that. It was 2 days ago now, so yeah, I think here they tried to charge here, and I fled, and then yeah, they ended up there. But yeah, that was the game. So a bit one-sided. I think a couple errors on Carl's point of view with the peg knights. I'm not sure I'd put the BSB in with the pegs. I also don't think charging the warrior block with the character was sensible. I think the Grail Knights were kind of out of position as well. I think from what I've seen so far, like, peasants are kind of pretty rubbish because if you could just kill the monk, they can't use their stubborn rule. So really they've got like this one guy in the front rank that you can just kill, and then that they're going to struggle to hold anything really. And I think really what should be doing is using the lancers, and then the peasants are coming in to either flank or provide a static res bonus. So I think I would be tempted to play very differently with them, and with the Grail Knights I don't think I'll be trying to protect them as much because they just don't end up doing anything. Really the ideal situation is see where the block is and put them directly opposite, and then just pressure that block because it's easy points. Because the infantry really can't get out the way. It forced me to use my Marauder Cav to screen them off. We talked about the dragon. I think really the best way is to try and get a lance or something to pin it with a challenge, and then add some static res in and hope that the dragon whiffs. Or against Dean, I ended up stuck in protracted combat, which could have happened. I just got a little bit lucky because it was a bit wet handbags. We were either drawing, and luckily I'd killed the musician, or we were losing by 1 and I'd passed the test. I had to take one like twitchy bum break test, but other than that it was fine. So yeah, this was the second game against Dean. So this is a Grail Knight unit here, and he's got a Paladin BSB in this unit in the back corner. It's off shot. He's got his level 2 who was on which elementalism with Plague of Rust, because he had the artifact to pick, and Gift of the Lady, which is the regen. 6 Knights of the Realm, 6 Knights of the Realm, big unit of peasants, Peg, Killing Blowlord, and 3 units, 1 unit of pegs. Oh yeah, in the second game, Carl had used the Falcon Horn on my dragon, but that didn't really affect me because I was conscious that was going to happen, so that's why I pushed my dragon so far forward to threaten some stuff. Anyway, Dean also didn't have that artifact because he's got, he's going to change his list up a bit. This is just sort of starter set stuff, what he's got. So similar. I had to be a little bit more sensible in this. I didn't get Steed of Shadows. I wasn't able to get my spelling range on the first turn, and really what I wanted to do was to set is to use the magic missile to keep this unit of peg knights honest, because what I really don't want them doing is just coming down the side, and just because my warriors never get to them, they won't be able to kill them on the charge. So that's just, I'm not charging that. Then basically he's going to force the issue, come in, start clearing up points, killing up the chariot, charging the warriors. That's what I was using this terrain to kind of protect my 2 chariots with the 2 blocks either side, because I didn't want those guys sweeping around. I think if I had a BSB separate, I would be doing a similar thing with them. They would be going out trying to get points. I like the BSB on horse in the unit, but I would have had it here because it was a bit out of the way here. I would have probably put the Grail here and the Knights of the Realm here and not gone so wide. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's like if you don't have the width, and this is why like a unit of peasant bowmen here would have been good on the flank rather than, you know, having a big unit of these guys, or maybe have 2 units of these like 20s and have them like 5x4, and you just follow up. So you put 1 block between the 2, and then when these guys charge, if they don't break the stuff, then they can tag in on the corner later, and you're not really going to get charged because the dragons outranges them, but then that's why his character's there. So you can almost like stagger the lance, like put 1 lance forward and say, we'll take this lance or I'm going to charge you, then put the other 2 ready to counter charge anything else. And then, so what I mean by that is, this is all hindsight, because these are just practice games. We're just messing around. We're not like, you know, we'll be super competitive or anything, but, you know, just to give you an indication. So like, for example, if this lance was here, okay, so then what you do is push this lance up and then keep this lance kind of here and this lance kind of here. Oh, excuse my really wonky triangles. So then what you're basically doing is saying, well, this distance here, obviously this is not to scale, but this would be kind of within my threat range. So I'm obviously in danger here, but these 2 are out of range and they're able to threaten kind of here. So anything that comes into this lance is going to get countercharged. If I don't come in, then this lance has got its pick of what it wants. That's kind of what I mean about setting up those staggered. You don't have to put everything in one line, and you don't have to feed everything at the same time. And I think, let me get rid of all this. Like with this unit coming to here, because they've got a 360 charge, they can still impact anything that rushes here. They can clear this up if they want, but they can also affect the middle of the board. I would quite like 2 of these, 1 on each flank, because I just think they would give you so much board control, and it kind of forces this middle of the table issue with your lances. Now, the way that I would envisage using peasants is either you use them to block an area like this, but they're just prone to going. Is you're just going to accept they're only going to delay them by a turn, maybe, or they're just there to redirect or to force the overrun pursuit this way, and then the peg knights could be here ready to clean up, because obviously there's not a lot of points here, so it depends what they give up for that. But the peg knight's super important. That's why they were like priority 1 for me to kill. She's high priority, but I'm never getting to her. Now my wizard's here, and that means that we're never really in unbind range, but we've got the fated dispel, but I'm at +3. So I was kind of thinking, well, it's, you know, it's debatable which way it goes. But that was the kind of setup. And then my first turn, I've got a wide shot. So this is where I've moved. This is after Dean's turn, but I moved up here and I kept my army quite far back. And you see, I swapped my chariot and my Dragon Ogres round here. So these guys are basically, because they're not very fast, what they're doing is they're controlling the space. They're controlling this area. So if we want to push a lance in, and the chariot's got a longer threat, so I can get the chariot in, boom, hang, maybe hold up the charge with the impact hits, follow up the Dragon Ogres. So that's kind of where I was thinking with that. The dragon, I didn't want to get too aggressive because I was a bit. His lord's behind here, by the way, with his wizard. Is because what I was worried about is the lord charging my dragon. I don't think he's got a good chance of killing me, but I don't do a lot of damage to him. Because he's got a good armor save, and Dean's got the gift of the lady off on the ground knights with a 5-up regen. I think he should have put it on like this Knight of the Realm unit or the Lord. And what I was worried about with the Lord is he was going to be able to clear up points. So I didn't want to like rush my dragon forward. The Lord goes past and starts killing my dragon ogres, my chariot, my marauder horse, and just draining points out my army. And I'm chasing lances. So, and again, like this is just to show you that arc of sight. So that was just me seeing, am I in the flank with the chariot or not? If I was going to charge, but I was in the flank, but it was such a long charge. And I wasn't within 17, which is my max. So, because it's 7 plus 6, no, 16, 7 plus 6 plus 3. So, yeah, 16 inches. So I wasn't within 16. So I couldn't declare that, but it was just later on if I push up. And then the same with this is to clear and then to wheel and then to go here. This is after Dean's move. So he was checking, what arc am I in? Okay, what's the distance? Dragon's in the front arc here. So my dragon's going to go here. His general could potentially charge me, but because of the distance here, there wasn't really enough space. He could probably tag on here. It's a bit weird with a lance because they're like, you know, this distance here is not it is sort of the same size as the base, so it was a bit weird. But anyway, it kind of, we had that it kind of changed a little bit anyway because of what happened, so we'll go through that in a sec. So yeah, and then we oh yeah, I need to cancel this. So then we got into, this is another shot basically just to the other side of the table, and this is what happened. So I charged my dragon into the Knights of the Realm. I blocked the Ground Knights because what I was worried about is the Ground Knights coming in into the side of my dragon, and that's static res, that's banner, battle standard, flank, lance. Then he challenges me out, then I'm like on minus test. If I break, I could really run down. That's really bad. Don't want that. So I use my Marauder Cav to hold this charge up. I move my chariot across. I have to push these guys out of the way. And that's threatening the flank of these because Dean left this area of the table quite open. Now, his lord could have charged him in the flank if I got sloppy, but I left him in the front arc. So he could come in and charge these. And actually, I probably would have done that. I would have tried to take this unit's points because I just think that he goes through this unit and you've got the chance to kill and blow them because they're monsters. So it's like, So if he comes in here, or does it work on cavalry, monstrous cavalry? Probably it doesn't actually. Anyway, so he could come in here and, you know, attack these. That's 180 points. Then the overrun, I think I positioned it so he couldn't overrun into the chariot. Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, and then he's in a position to come and threaten this. Again, like the Peg Knights, they were my target with my magic missile now. Now they're in range. So I was like, yeah, need to get those. So anyway, went in here, and yeah, got challenged out. Or he didn't, I don't think he challenged me actually. And then I battered the unit, but didn't break them. Because they yeah, so I left 2 models alive, and then they didn't flee. They just got pushed back. So that meant that I kind of, they gave ground. I followed up, which then turned this into a flank charge. So his lord would come in here in his go. So in Dean's go, and on my magic missile, killed a Peg Knight. They didn't panic off. So in Dean's go, he charged my Marauder Cav here. I stood in shot, didn't really do anything because I got thrown axes. You can see here, assume where the chariot's arc is, how far he would run, whether I would be able to see him. Now, one of the things that I learned, which is quite different, is when you run away, Swift Stride's optional, and then you run, and if they run you down, they pursue you to the unit, and then they stop. You die, then they reform. So you're not like the old days. They would roll 2 dice, you roll your dice, and then you go your max distance in a straight line. It doesn't work like that anymore. So they move their unit, you touch their unit, you kill it, then you reform if you pass tests. So basically it was a bit different. But yeah, that was super interesting. So his Lord went into the side. He'd reform the lance, knowing that he's going to get charged, but to stop, because I kind of outmaneuvered him a little bit here. Push these guys up, and then I got lucky, didn't kill him, blow me, which was good. With the Lord, which was, I did 1 wound back to him. My chariot was kind of in a position he could tag in this corner because he's in this arc, and I can go to corner to corner. So that's what he was set up for. He won't do any damage to him because he's in a challenge, but it just gives me 1 extra combat res for the close order from the chariot, which was actually quite pivotal. Then, so the Dragon Ogres went into the front here, did what they did. They didn't hit too hard, but I was hoping I would break and run when I charged the chariot into the men-at-arms, and then I ran the flank. And the way this works is that if these break and you go center to center, and this line is going to hit this unit, then basically this counts as a fresh charge, and then they get to fight again because I haven't fought this combat yet. It didn't happen. He held. He didn't run away because Dean just passed his test, even despite being, because I didn't do much damage. I left a couple alive, so he didn't fail by a lot. Then I killed the monk out the front rank with my attacks here to get rid of the stubborn. I did a big impact hits again. I think I killed like 7 or 8 guys. It was pretty impressive, and they broke anyway. I believe because there was knights within 6 as well that gave them the knight's leadership. Otherwise, they wouldn't have had the knight's leadership. So, but I have the Marauder Horseman position to go in the side next turn if I need to, if they're still fighting, and I have the warrior block sort of pressed up. So if this runs, it will bounce through the warriors, and then his pursuit would take into the warriors, but he won't catch the chariot. So that's the other thing. I'd have to take a panic test, but fair enough. I'll take that. That's fine. That could go horribly wrong, but that's what I like about the game. Really, it's good. So it's all that stuff was starting to come back to me. All that play. And then this kind of was a bit later on in the game. So obviously I charged here. The general died to the dragon, and then I ran the knights down and did a reform, facing his wizard. I charged the front of the Grail, did nothing, took some damage. I think I even broke from combat and ran away. So these guys, they ran, and it allowed me to pursue into the 1 remaining Peg Knight because I'd killed them with the magic missile again. So basically then I killed that and overran into this and killed them. So that was all cleared up by that chariot. You see there's 1 horse left fighting the Dragon Ogres, and the Dragon Ogres finished that guy off. Dean marched his wizard past my dragon, and then when I charged, he fled out of range. I did my chariot did hold the charge, and I managed to get the dragon in the rear. And then when the Grail Knights broke, the chariot ran him down, and then this was here, and I rallied. I basically pivoted round, or I wanted to, but I failed my restraint test and I ran. So I came this way. I wanted to just turn around. But with the 90-degree pivot at the start of the move and the wheel and the movement, I was able to get a breath shot on her. So I got my breath weapon from my 2010 Masters multi-template on her, did the 1 wound, because she took 1 wound when she fled through my dragon with the dangerous enemy thing. And then I breathed on her with a strength 4 and killed her, and that was the game basically. So, it was a lot of fun. So I enjoyed it. It was interesting to sort of shake the cobwebs off. I definitely had an advantage in terms of list because I'm taking like what I wanted to take for a competitive list rather than kind of people just what they have. It wasn't really about winning, losing, or anything like that. It was just like let's just put models down, see how the mechanics work. Dean got that regen spell off on the Grail Knights early, and that was actually really hard to get rid of because I didn't have my wizard in range, so I was trying Fated Dispel. And I actually found that was super effective. That's why my chariot didn't do any damage, because you regened it all on a 5-up, or I think you had a 6-up regen at that point, but it's just a really good spell. Plague of Russ was a threat. I never got that off, thankfully, but it was close. So that would have been pretty nasty. I think anything that's armor pierce or got armor bane, like I think with the Razor standard and lances, he was like -5 if you rolled a 6 to wound, which was pretty nasty. I found the Dragon Ogres were really good. They really, really hit hard because they've got armor bane, they've got great weapons, they've got -2 anyway. Yeah, their strength 7, weapon skill 4. They really do a number. So yeah, I really enjoyed just the dynamic of the game. The chariots were super good. Marauder Horsemen can be skirmished. I kind of just set them up because I had the movement trays and I was just like, I'll just play them in open order. I think I probably should have them skirmish from the start of the game. Just gives them so much more maneuverability, so much more, control. The only thing that it wouldn't give me is kind of the control of them having to align to me and stuff like that. I'm still not really, and also if I charge with them, they're not as effective if they're not in open order. So I don't know whether I'm going to put them in open or like, it depends. If they've got a lot of shooting, I'll probably put them in skirmish. Marauder Horsemen were a bit like, yeah, they're okay, they're good. They're just stuff to get in the way. They're just units to be supportive. I like my list. I think it's pretty balanced. Thoughts on Dragon aside, but even he's not very killy. So like, he didn't really kill the Lord. I think we had like 3 rounds of combat and I killed him in the 3rd round. Because he had a Gromwell Greathelm, he's got the blessing. It's like, if he got the regen on, it's like you're just not doing enough damage. And then it's static combat res. So if he had like Banner, War Banner, BSB in that lance, that would have been a problem. I almost feel maybe better off having like a unit of Knights Errant and then like a big unit of Realm, and doing that thing I said about the staggered triangles and putting the Knights Errant forward, and they're going to charge and kill something and probably break it. On there, they probably will hold charge as well. You can do it in Knights of the Realm if you've got the points, but and then the follow-up lance has got the static res, so you're like, okay, you didn't break, I'm going to go into you. And actually, on reflection, me and Dean were talking about the Knights on Foot, and actually think having a 4-up armor save and the blessing, they're actually pretty tanky. And actually, I think they would be a pretty good unit as a block to support the lance rather than that. But I think also in the Errantry Crusade, you can take Grail Pilgrims as battle line. So again, that's pretty good. I think as well in my list, I could also split my Dragon Ogres into 3 units of individuals, because I think you can take them individual models. I don't really want to do that, but it's something I could do. So I could split them into 3 individual Dragon Ogres. But I kind of like the idea of having them as one block. I think aesthetically it's what they used to be in, and it's how I've run them. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't think they're fast enough to warrant having multiple mini ones. I think they're just going to be easy points, and they're not going to do enough if they get the charge. Having unit 3 is kind of like, they don't really want to charge that, because even they kill 1, they're getting so much damage coming back. So I kind of like the block of Dragon Ogres. Yeah, and it was super fun. So I hope you find that show a little bit interesting. It was kind of like a little bit of a mini battle report, my list for the tournament, which might change. I haven't decided if I'm going to keep with that or not. I know people might sort of be saying the Chaos Dragon's very strong and maybe it's a bit too much, but it is a tournament I'm going to. at Warhammer World. I don't expect it to be gloves off, mittens, and jumpers for goalposts. I think it'd be pretty cutthroat. I don't think it's that bad because the concessions I've had to make to get it in, like, you know, he doesn't really hit very hard. I don't have a battle standard for reroll break tests. He is susceptible to bad rolls in static combat res, so we'll see. But I'm hoping that I can do quite well. I mean, really, I wanted to take my models from my old army, and I've got Galrock as my dragon, and I found my old Chaos Lord. This is from my old colour scheme army, which is Archeon on Steed, and the legs are green stuffed. So I did a mould of the Archeon on Steed, moulded his legs to make the saddle, and I sculpted like the fur to get he goes on the dragon. He does have an arm, it's just fallen off, so he does have an arm. So I want to use him basically, and I think, well, if it's that good, why not? So yeah, I really enjoyed the game. So I've got a few bit of painting to do. I've got the bases to finish off. I've got my my sorcerer to rebase, and I've got a familiar. So I found the old metal familiars. So I've got the little scroll bearer, so he's going to be my familiar. It doesn't really do anything in the game. I just thought it'd be fun to paint one up. He's got the same hood and everything, so he sort of looks like a mini version, and he's holding 3 scrolls. That's the 3 spells. I don't know. It's kind of just a bit of fun, really. Yeah, so I'm really enjoying it, and had a great time. I have to go back and look at the Tomb Kings a little bit in more detail. I made a couple errors in my Tomb King show, thanks to people who have pointed it out. So like a rise from the king. Obviously, you can't do that in combat. It's not really an arise. It only works on like horsemen and skeletons and things like that. So it doesn't really benefit the chariots. The other thing was I didn't realise, but the priest isn't flammable for some reason. So you don't need to give him that artifact. So that frees up some points. That allows me to take something else or put that on somewhere else. I know a lot of people are saying just to put your level 4 Cloak of the Dunes or whatever, but I'm still debating that. I think maybe you're right. Maybe it needs that's enough maneuverability. I don't know how good a king on the Sphinx is. Oh, not Sphinx. The dragon might be pretty good. So I might rather relook at that. I've got 2 bone dragons, so I'll make one of each. I want to play some practice games with that. It's going to take me a while to get the Tomb Kings built. I've finally got most of my stuff now. I'm hoping Wave 2 pre-orders come up soon, so I can get my Scorps and things like that to add to it. I did find my original Scorpions that I converted with Vishabti, so that's something I can rebase as well. But I do have my High Elves to rebase, and I've still got a lot of work to rebase a lot of my Chaos. I've got 20 Chosen. I've rebased my Knights. I need to rebase some characters. I've got a Hell Cannon to rebase. Once I've done all that, that's going to be most of my collection that I'm going to bother with until I've got a BSB on a horse. I've got a BSB on a Disc of Zinch, which is kind of pointless because there's no such thing as a Disc of Zinch anymore. I've got loads of characters on discs. I've got a Sorcerer on a horse to rebase. I've got the Nurgle Champion on a horse. I've got the Demonic Mount BSB. He will fit on a normal cavalry base now, so I'll probably use him as a knight. I don't think Demonic Mounts are worth taking, but maybe they are. I don't know. So I'm just going to put them on normal horses, I think. And then I do have my Juggernaut hero, which I will rebase for Demonic Mount hero with Mark of Khorne, because I think that'd be cool, a unit of knights. I've got 2 units of Crushers, which I could, in hindsight, just use as Dragon Ogres, just use the models. But yeah, I don't really know what else to do with them, because I can't use them in Old World at the moment. If they could plan to bring, it's a bit weird because they came out in 8th as part of the army, so you'd think they would actually be in Old World, but they're not, which is kind of frustrating. But it's annoying because I don't even need them for my Bloodbound, because my Bloodbound I've got 12, and then they've been blended and highlighted, and I don't really want to repaint them in the other scheme because it kind of feels like a bit of a cop out. So they're going back into storage. Yeah, and I've got my High Elves. I've got most of my stuff for High Elves. I've got to paint 10 Illyrian Reavers, rebase everything, and I've got a Dragon Prince to paint now because I ordered one on eBay to finish out my unit, because I had 4 metal dragon princes, and I had a plastic hero which I used as a champion. He'll now become a hero, and then the extra knight I've got will become the just a unit, a man in the unit. So that gives me that sorted out. Yeah, and then we'll go from there. But I'm still really enjoying it at the moment. Obviously, I don't know what other factions are coming soon, but it'd be cool to once the orcs and stuff are out and people have got a bit more, can get their stuff. It'd be nice to see. I'm really excited to see what turns up to the tournament. Obviously, because it's at Warhammer World, there's not going to be like 3D prints and things. So it depends on it. I mean, there might be some really old school collections coming out. That'd be awesome. So if you're going, let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed the video. We'll be doing some more content soon. I've got the Bretonnian list tech to do now that I've had these 2 games. It's been super useful. So I'm going to write some Bretonnian lists, and I will probably do another Tomb King follow-up show. I'm going to start doing faction reviews on the other armies now that I've played a bit, and I can like look at their stuff in detail. I've still got to do the How to Play series now. I've got some models rebased. Once I've got the High House rebased, I've got 2 armies. I can then set things up, talk people through the rules, and hopefully that's a good resource for beginners. I wanted to get out earlier, but unfortunately it's just not been the case. I've not had the time. So if you're finding the channel useful, please subscribe. It helps me out a lot. And let me know if there's any content you'd like me to do. Please put in the comments below on this video. Thanks very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of your day, whatever you're doing, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Cheers, guys. Bye.